Let's talk about Hydraxon. He might be one of the coolest Titan Bionicle sets that LEGO ever released. This dude looks just so awesome and he had so much going for him. But let's also talk about some wonderful pieces that come in this set and see a couple ways that we could potentially use them in our own future Bionicle builds. And we can even look at a nice revamp of Hydraxon as well. Let's get stuck into it. Look at this set, he's so cool. Dude has a freaking gun strapped to one of his wrists, and then the other wrist has this fantastic arrangement of blades. I mean, with all these wrist weapons, he's just as cool as like Ezio from Assassin's Creed. Plus he's got all kinds of cool weapons all over his body, like these boomerangs that are strapped to his arms, and then I always assumed that these blades sticking out of his back could actually be, weapons that he like takes off and throws or whatever. Plus he's also got ammo for his Kodak blaster strapped to his feet. I mean, dude's like the dang Mandalorian, he's covered in weapons from head to toe, and he looks so freaking cool. He kind of even also has the color scheme of Din Djarin as well, so it's actually a pretty decent comparison, surprisingly. I tell you what, as an 11-year-old kid when I saw this set come out, I thought nothing was cooler. LEGO had made the perfect Bionicle. And honestly, I think he still holds up today. Dude is the GOAT. The set's also got a pretty decent amount of posability, so yeah, there's a lot to love about this set. But I think one thing on this set that just blew my mind as a kid and was Hydraxon's probably best feature was the awesome posable fingers. Now these use the wonderful Exoforce robot arm pieces. These of course first appeared on the drones seen in the theme Exoforce, and this design was just so cool as a kid. Many previous Bionicle sets just used the traditional hand connector piece for hand designs, and those worked fine, but this set, as an 11-year-old kid, made me realize that you didn't need just one simple piece for a hand design. Suddenly now you could have posable fingers. Awesome. This opened up so many cool creative possibilities, not just for sets, but also for MOCs. Sure, you had a set like Axon that did have posable fingers, but those were huge fingers. The fact you could do it on a smaller scale like this, game changing. And honestly, I think this design has influenced so many MOCs. Whether that's MOCs from today or back in the day, heaps of them. There's so many modern Bionicle creations that still use this design today, and it makes their builds really cool because posable fingers. So thank you, Hydraxon, because you had an awesome design that brought me a lot of joy, and I think has inspired so many other builds to have cool finger and hand designs. But what about the other pieces in this set? How can we use them in our own creations? Well, let's see what we get in this awesome set. Starting off, we get 4 ball joints. 4 isn't a huge amount, sure, but ball joints are always super helpful pieces. We can see many of them used here on the awesome Bionicle frame, which was designed by Soji Gakari. If we zoom in, we can see multiple ball joints are used all throughout the design of the Bionicle frame. Now, the Bionicle frame itself is a frame that's easy enough to make, and there are instructions online. I'll have links to that in the description below if you want to build it. But the frame's easy enough to armor up with your own designs, and it's just a good base to be able to build off of. It's a frame that many builders have used to build a lot of incredible MOCs with. Like, for example, Jafer has used the Bionicle frame here to build the awesome MOC Azazel. What a stunning and truly imposing build that uses that wonderful Bionicle frame. So hey, it may only be 4 ball joints, but those parts can go towards making something as awesome as this MOC possible. Man, Azazel's so cool too. Look at that wonderful prototype mask. Just brilliant stuff. Hydraxon also comes with some of these pearl light grey armor pieces. Now they have a very nice shape to them and a really unique texture as well. Some of these have been used on Socket Ball's MOC Toa Prisma Water. They pair very well with some of these CCBS armor shells just above it, and honestly any kind of armor piece like this is always helpful for your standard Toa builds. So it's a great part to get in this set. Of course you get all these awesome robot arm pieces too, as well as the claws for each of them. Now, yeah, these could work well as finger designs as we've discussed before, but there's many other ways you can use these wonderful pieces as well. Andrew Steele and Jafer have both built Kadok and Gardok here. Let's focus on Gardok by Andrew Steele specifically here, and we'll take a look at this gorgeous neck design. See how many of these have been spammed here to make this brilliant looking organic curved neck. Those parts are just perfect for mimicking really organic shapes. And look how nicely it pairs with these repeated dark grey gully hooks. It's great to see different pieces looking fairly similar. It's great to have that visual consistency on multiple areas of the build. Really cool. So yeah, getting a nice supply of these robot arms, super helpful. You do of course get 11 black hand sockets. It's nice to get a good healthy supply of them in the set, and of course you can use these for that classic Hydraxon hand design. We've seen that across many MOCs already on this episode. It always looks good, so getting 11 of them, It's a good healthy amount. Hydraxon's mask has always been a really beautiful one, and it's even better when we see it on Cameron's mock, Giga Knight Judgment. We can see that it's been flipped upside down, and that wonderful shiny curved surface at the top of Hydraxon's head, it makes for a really distinct head design. And I think it's even better when you combine it with this Jawblade mask. Really, really nice head design here. Now, as I mentioned all those weapons before, of course, you get a ton of weapons in this set to play with. Let's see a few different ways that you could use some of them. So we're going to start off with Rock Monster 2000's Dune Beast. So he's used these L-shaped blades for some cool looking claws on the front of this wild and mean looking mock. There's many other blades and claw pieces all throughout this build too. Now, none of those parts come on Hydraxon, but it's a nice reminder that any silver blade piece could achieve a fairly similar result to the blade pieces that have been used here. So there's plenty of different ways you could use any of the silver weapons that come on this set. Mitch Henry's Toa Ignika uses those same L-blade parts on the edge of the board here. It's nice that the unique shape of this piece can neatly round off the edge of this design and create that brilliant seamless curved look. And speaking of a cool curved look, here's Max H Build's mock called Spider. Now I love this. See how he's used these for an incredibly unique and awesome leg design? It's just so different and so cool. So yeah, there's heaps of different ways that you could use this L-shaped blade on your mocks, or you could just use it as an axe, much like Mitch Henry has done on another mock here. There's no need to overcomplicate it. It's a blade. It makes sense that you'd use it as, well, a blade. The dagger pieces that we see on Hydraxon are used on this mock by Ted Anders, and it's called Prospector. It's kind of crazy to think that these daggers fit right at home on this brilliant steampunk vibe that this mock has. I guess it's maybe those tiny pistons that are a part of the mold of this blade. These look great as kind of clawed feet of some kind. Oh yeah, and then you get this stunning shark tooth blade in pearl light grey. What a unique part. Now, it's used here on a mock by Poor Disadvantaged, and it is Vizok the Beast. This mock has such a great aesthetic. We've got a ship wheel on the belt, we've got blades that look like anchors that are resting on their waist, and then this lovely peg leg design and a pirate hook as well. I mean, there's so many sea or ocean or pirate motifs or tropes that are packed into this build. And given that this blade has that nice aquatic vibe to it, because, well, it very much looks like a shark tooth or maybe even some kind of like carved out whalebone or something, this just fits right at home in here. So if you're building a water-themed character and you really want to kind of play off of some of those tropes that we were discussing before, then this is kind of the perfect weapon for exactly that. So that's a few different ways you could use some of the pieces that come in this set. But, you know, as cool as those mocks were, let's take a look at how we could maybe revamp Hydraxon himself now. So here's another mock, it's also by Poor Disadvantaged, and this is, of course, a revamp of Hydraxon. So I love how he's really upped the amount of weapons that Hydraxon has here. Now there's a whole array of different shoulder blades up here, and it's cool to see that Kordak blaster becoming a part of this like gunblade thing. What a cool weapon. The choice to add Keat Orange to the color scheme here was a really nice choice. In the canon Bionicle story, the Mask of Life transforms the Matoran Dekar into Hydraxon. Dekar, of course, had that yellow, or I guess more so Keat Orange color scheme. Adding that in was a nice throwback to that original idea. There's a really brilliant accessory on the belt here. We can see a key as well as a little lock as well. Now, again, in the Bionicle lore, Hydraxon is the jailer of the pit, which is a place where the Order of Motunui keeps some of the most dangerous beings in the Matoran universe. So his belt having a lock and key, well, that totally makes sense, doesn't it? It's a little perfect inclusion there. Love seeing stuff taking inspiration from the original lore behind these characters. So yeah, man, gotta love Hydraxon, and gotta love all the wonderful parts that came in this set as well. If you don't have this set, head over to Bricklink and see if you can buy a second-hand one. It certainly is one of the coolest sets they made. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this has given you some inspiration for your own future mocks. Happy building, and bye for now.